So just like all of you, I watch a lot of old school RuneScape videos on YouTube, and the other day I was watching one and somebody was playing the classic Pokemon music from, I think it was Diamond and Pearl. I know that's not really classic Pokemon, but it really just almost brought a tear to my eye. I was so nostalgic about it that I just looked up the entire Pokemon soundtrack for the next like 3 to 4 hours while I was playing RuneScape, of course, and just listened to it and just remembered all of those tracks. This made me so happy to realize that a lot of the same nostalgia happens with RuneScape. I personally play the game without sounds on most of the time. Either when I'm playing two accounts, it gets annoying, you know, you're mining on one account and the other account you're training Slayer. You don't want to hear all of that all the time, right? But I actually turned game sounds on the other day for the very first time, and it was just so nice reliving all of those music tracks and just the game sounds in general. It made me super nostalgic about the game. Now, why is it that people actually play old school RuneScape? Like, we do have RuneScape 3, which from an outside perspective, right, looks like it's a lot better of a game, has crazy intense graphics, a huge amount of bosses in the game, endless amounts of content to do, and overall, like from an outside perspective, it just looks like it's a better game. But we all choose to play this classic version of RuneScape back from 2007 with pixelated graphics. Whenever I show this to a friend, they're like, why do you play that game? It's 2023, play some Call of Duty, my brother. But it's because we love the game so much and we're so nostalgic about it, right? We love every single thing about it and it just works. Tons of other companies are doing this as well. Some other companies as big as like World of Warcraft, Blizzard, they did a classic version of WoW as well, and it did phenomenal. Other things like Nintendo have done this as well, right? Like with the Nintendo Switch, they have released all of their old classic games and it's just done really well for the company. And especially with Pokemon, for example, they are redoing all of their old classic games. They are making new games as well, but they're doing like reversions of all their games, right? I haven't been playing Pokemon for like 10 years now, right? But just looking at it, they've basically remastered all of their classic games, and I would love to try it, but I don't have a Nintendo Switch. But let me tell you, if that shit was on PC, I'd be playing it while I'm AFKing. Another game I think did extremely well with their soundtrack is Minecraft, right? Minecraft is a game where you all know what the game is, but when you're in an area of the game, like you're entering a cave or something, the sound changes from where you are, right? And it's the exact same with RuneScape, and it's also the exact same with Pokemon. Whenever you change the area, the soundtrack changes to kind of like fit the mood of the game. And honestly, when you hear these soundtracks, it just takes you back to classic memories, right? You know, entering Edgeville for the first time, entering the Grand Exchange for the very first time, entering a Slayer cave, right? And it's the same with Minecraft, like entering a cave, or the same with Pokemon going on Route 204. It just envisions you there when you were younger, if that makes any sense at all. Like whenever I hear a RuneScape soundtrack, like the login screen or even like old Dungeoneering soundtracks or something, it just takes me back to great memories when I was a kid. Even just hearing simple things like the cooking sound or even just attacking a creature is something I haven't actually heard in a long time, because I pretty much for the past 3-4 years have been playing RuneScape with all of my sound settings turned off. Now, it's not just audio that stands out for RuneScape to make it nostalgic. There's so many different things that can make it super nostalgic for you, like the towns in the game, the different NPCs, the items in the game, the monsters and the bosses in the game. One thing that really stands out to me, though, is the Helm of Nezinot. I don't know what it is, but when I was a kid, I was obsessed with that item. I just thought it was like the coolest helmet I've ever seen in the world. I remember back in the day, I was actually at my aunt's house celebrating Christmas, and I was just like begged to borrow her computer, and I went on and I somehow followed the Going Crazy 201 guide and managed to get that helmet, and I was just over the moon. No matter whatever happened that day, I was just so happy knowing that I had the Helm of Nezinot. Another thing is RuneScape has always been really simple in this like nice little interface that we're very used to, where we can access pretty much whatever we want whenever we want, and it's very familiar, unlike RuneScape 3 or unlike a lot of other games, right, where they have like an update that kind of changes how everything works and that we're used to, right? Old school tends to keep it exactly how we were all familiar with it literally for the past 20 years, if you really think about it that way. And this is another thing, right? Just seeing like the skills tab, right? I know that that's where I have to go to access my skills, like super nostalgic thing. If I just see that like icon, I know exactly what it's for, as well as like questing, right? Another thing is questing. Getting to like relive all those quests again was like a huge thing for me, right? When I was a younger kid, I didn't really know what was going on with a lot of the quest lines. I'd have to watch these like crazy guides, go to like the Rune Wiki back then, whatever it was, and figure things out, like Rune HQ, I think the website was called. And now getting to relive them all, but with the Quest Helper Runelite plugin is just so awesome. I feel like modern day old school RuneScape is like what we dreamed about when we were kids, right? Like it has everything we ever would want. Like all the Runelite plugins to just make the game so much more convenient and easy for us to use, like the Quest Helper plugin, all these random tile markers and experience trackers and stuff that we would have dreamed of as kids, we now have in the game that we've always loved. The whole RuneScape map is exactly the same as how it has always been, besides the new additions to the game, like, you know, the Core End or Fossil Island, right? But other than that, the entire map, all the NPCs are exactly how we remember them. Now, if you maybe started in like 2008, 2009, and you have the HD graphics, there is an client that is approved by Jagex called HDOS, which will make this game, the exact game I'm playing right now, look like it did in 2009 when they had the HD client, right? So it is literally a perfect game for anyone to play that pretty much played from, you know, 2007 all the way up until the evolution of combat. Plus, as adults now, most of us anyways, we have a lot more patience, right? Back when we were kids, you know, getting a 99 kind of seemed like a taunting, endless goal that would never actually happen. And now we can actually achieve this, right? You know, like back when we were younger, time just seemed very slow. Like the one thing that I really learned from college, one of my professors told me this crazy thing that really opened my eyes. And basically what it is like when you're 1 year old, that's 100% of your life, right? So when you're two, when you turn 2 years old, that's double your lifespan, right? So 1 year is 50% of your entire life. But say you're, you know, 20 years old, that 1 year is actually only 5% of your life now, right? So it's a weird concept to actually think about. When you actually go and think about it deeply, you can see why these goals don't seem as daunting as they did when we were kids. Also, RuneScape is a game that you can kind of play in any mood that you want, which is something that I've always personally just loved about the game, right? If I'm really tired, bored, lazy, I can just throw up a YouTube video, throw up a Netflix tab on my other monitor, and just simply do something like cooking or fishing or whatever it might be, and still gain a ton of progress on my account. Or if I'm really active and in the mood, I could do some questing, some bossing, some raiding, and whatever it might be, some high intensive skilling methods like two-tick mining or hunting, whatever it might be. It's a game that you can play in all different types of moods, or if you're tired, if you're really active and hyper, it's just always a game that you can gain progress on. With most games, it's usually 100% focused, like something like Call of Duty or League of Legends or any of the games where you have to just be focused, like Fortnite, even Minecraft, really. And then there's other games like idle games or phone games where you kind of just log in for a little bit and then you wait and then you gain your experience or whatever it might be afterwards, right? RuneScape is the entire package. You can get that with everything. And most of the content in the game, you can do both ways, right? So Slayer, for example, you can, you know, do some boss tasks where you're hyper focused, or you could do some AFK chill tasks like Bloodvilds. Out of all of my favorite games that I've played in the past, we're talking Combat Arms, Maple Story, Pokemon, Minecraft, Plants vs. Zombies, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Mario, especially Mario Kart, and Wii Sports. There's never been a game that I've loved more than RuneScape. It's just always been my go-to game, the most nostalgic game for me in pretty much every category. I find most games are this quote-unquote mini game, right? We'll take like a first-person shooter, for example, right? You may have like a character progression where you level up your character in like Combat Arms, for example. You'd level up your rank in the army, but the gameplay was always basically exactly the same. Even something like Pokemon, right? You traveled through different towns, and this was a huge game for me, one of my favorite games that I've ever played. You traveled through different towns, leveled up different types of Pokemon. It was amazing, one of the best games that I've ever played, and there's so many different things that you could do with that game. But at the same time, it was always just the exact same thing over and over and over again, where you just fought different battles, leveled up, and this and that. And even something like Minecraft, right, where a game where it's a complete sandbox for you to explore every single thing. Even though the soundtrack was great, the game itself was just phenomenal, right? About after a month playing the game, you feel like you've done every single thing in the world. Something like Call of Duty is exactly the same as Combat Arms. It's just a first-person shooter where you're in a map all the time. Even Grand Theft Auto, there's a million different missions that you can do, and it's extremely fun. And I feel like if you had an hour to play a game, Grand Theft Auto would be the game to play. Mario, all of the Mario games are amazing and super fun. I really like Mario Kart, though, and I find it really fun and competitive. I love playing it online and seeing how well I do. And Wii Sports is just a classic game that you can, level up different types of different sports. It's really fun to play multiplayer. But a game like RuneScape is just endless. You can do so much different content in all of the time, in any different mood you are, solo or with a team. I've been playing RuneScape since 2009, and I was 9 years old back then, and I'm 23 now, so it's been a crazy long journey, and I've pretty much loved every moment of it, maybe besides the Evolution of Combat update. Thank you, Mod Mark, for that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video today. If you went ahead and watched the whole video, comment swordfish down in the comments below. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya later.